Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Laz Ross, Mr. Major Gains, head coach of Major Gains Fitness, and all the rest of the Major Gains Fitness coaches. Tonight's just going to be a little roundtable discussion. We're going to discuss three main topics, and kind of some subtopics that go along with them. So I'm Laz. I'm a bodybuilder. I've been competitive bodybuilding for a year. I started last year, and I started coaching last year as well. So I do online training, and these are the other coaches. I'm gonna let them introduce themselves. We'll start with Frederick Wingate.
Well, Fred Wingate. I started competing last year in men's physique, and then after learning up on all the works of this and what goes into it from different aspects, I started feeling like since I am studying exercise science and I was gonna be a personal trainer and a nutritionist, I wanted to start getting other people involved because it's gonna help me teaching other people. So I jumped on board with Major Gains Fitness to be a coach, and I'm sponsored by Military Muscle, so I see it from a lot of different angles. What competitors go through when they're dealing with their sponsors, what competitors are going through when they have no one helping them out. So it's just a good aspect to bring to the table.
Okay.
Hey guys, I'm Kate. I got into lifting and nutrition pretty heavily in 2010. I decided just this last year that I wanted to kind of ramp things up and compete in figure. So I started working towards those goals last year. I hired a coach who had a very traditional approach to bodybuilding. He had me on like the chicken, broccoli, tilapia kind of style of diet, and I found it so hard. I figured that there had to be an easier way to do it, so I started doing a bit of research. Found Laz in January, and once I started working with Laz, it was kind of like a switch was flipped in my head. Something kind of clicked. So now I've made it my mission to spread the word about flexible dieting and help other people reach their goals the flexible way, because it worked so well for me. I had so much success with it.
Boom, Matt.
What's up, guys? I'm Matt. Got on with Major Gains this year, and it's been a great journey for me. I was a college baseball player, real big in the fitness, and so once my baseball career ended, I just started doing online personal training, joined Laz's team, Major Gains, and been doing that. I do some in-house personal training and different stuff like that, and this flexible dieting approach has completely changed my life. So it's pretty much about me, and I'm excited to get this going. So.
Roxy.
Hi, my name is Roxanne, and I started by contacting Laz last year. I wanted to take my health to another level, and I got him into coaching, and we started with bro science before we knew about macros, and we're smarter now. And I do bikini competitions just to help push myself towards my goals, and started coaching recently with Laz and Major Gains, and like to help other people learn how to be healthy.
Yeah. Thomas.
Hey guys, what's up? Sorry for the technical difficulties on the camera here, but anyway, I've always kind of been active and into sports and stuff, and probably early to mid 20s got into working out, bodybuilding, started noticing a lot of changes and progress, and from there it just kind of transitioned into, gaining more knowledge any way I could. Started personal training, started doing that for about on and off for about 3 years now. This past year, about a year and a half, kind of got onto the online coaching side. Me and Laz was kind of hooking up through Facebook, and a lot of the people that switched over from kind of like bro type stuff into the flexible dieting macro type side. Kind of joined up with him at Major Gains Fitness, and it's been a great ride ever since. So we look forward to having a good hangout tonight with you guys.
Woo! All right, so check this out. These hangouts, I've only been doing this for a little while. Like I said earlier, I've been coaching for Roxanne was my first client, and that was February last year. I didn't start looking at science or flexible dieting until not even a year ago. To be a year ago on September 3rd, when my current coach took me on as a client. So I don't profess to be an expert. All I do is share information that I have learned, and learned a couple things about looking at scientific studies, and if somebody tells me something is necessary, or they tell me that this is how it has to be and this is the way it works, I'm going to do research and find out what scientific studies say, instead of just listening to, hey, bro, it worked for me, or hey, everybody's been doing it since the 70s. So the first subject, Fred, what are we going to talk about?
Well, to start it off, we'll probably work from the ground. We wanted to work from the ground up and start with the first show mistakes that are on the client's end of it, because there's always this whole slew of them that are on the coach's end. But as a client, you need to look out for yourself. It's not so much, mentally signing a contract to yourself saying, I'm going to compete and whatever it takes, I'm doing all that, and going into it blindly. So when you start, you have to be realistic with yourself. A lot of people want to do the next show, and the next show could be 4 or 5 weeks out, and they look like they're 20 weeks out. But they want it so bad that they're committed to do anything, regardless of how it affects their health, to go into that show. So starting too late is usually the biggest mistake that a client makes. And some of that falls on the coach, and we'll get into that later. But as a client, you need to be realistic with yourself, and that it comes to have realistic expectations. You can't expect to lose 20 or 30 pounds in 8 weeks and expect to retain all your muscle, or expect to be healthy for that matter, which would probably inhibit your ability to adhere to the prep and last through it all. Now, let's say this client decides to go ahead and do it anyways, because that happens a lot. If it didn't happen, we wouldn't be talking about it. They find out that there might be a way to reach their goals by showtime, and a lot of times that's going to go to a lot of drug use. And, there's a time and place for people to do that, experienced people, older people, but when you're going on your first show, probably the biggest mistake you can do is jump on a bunch of steroids or illegal drugs for a short period of time, which will mess up your body, because if you're just jumping on for a short period of time, the chances are of you being knowledgeable in the process, or your coach being knowledgeable in the process, especially if he's throwing you on it like that, is slim to none. And a lot of times it's going to mess you up internally. It could mess you up physically and psychologically. And it's going to ruin your entire experience of prep. And a lot of times you hear people give the worst hype about prep. And, if you look at a lot of those people and really get down to how their prep was, you might notice that they jumped into a show too late. It's a male eating 1,500 calories a day for 4 weeks. Any guy will tell you that's probably the worst experience ever. I've been there before. I've eaten that many calories. It's terrible. And if I didn't find an alternative route to do that, I probably would not have competed anymore, because it's not worth it to me. It's not worth going through all that for 4 weeks to place fourth in a show. So, starting too late and getting these high expectations and going to these huge extremes for your first show. Your first show should not be, everyone wants to win, but your first show should be an experience show. It should be getting your feet wet, getting on stage, getting used to being in a bunch of people, finding out how your body reacts to certain calorie amounts, certain prep week ideas, certain ranges of macronutrients, and you need to learn how your body loses fat at what rate so you can plan accurately for your next show. You shouldn't go into your first show a couple weeks out expecting to get first place and go to nationals the next month and go pro. Has someone done that before? Sure. Is that person going to be you? No, I highly doubt it. So as a client, you need to take care of yourself. You need to look into what show you're doing. You need to look into how many weeks out it is and where you're at before you get a coach. Because a lot of coaches look at you as a profit, and if they think there is one way to get you there, and that way is you signing the contract, he'll get you to the show and take your money and be like, sorry, bro, I guess your genetics aren't there. And that's just how it is. And you need to protect yourself and be smart about it, or you're going to be one of the people who talk about how bad show prep is and blame politics because you started so late, had a terrible prep, and came in looking terrible because you didn't think about what you're doing. So you can't always blame the client because some of them, they have high hopes. They have no idea. I didn't know what I was doing coming into my first show, so I could easily, I don't know, 4 weeks out, I could lose like 15, 20 pounds. Sure. I don't see why it's impossible. Why not? If I have a coach tell me I can do it, then sure. But as a client, you need to protect yourself and be smart about how you do it because it's more than just a trophy. If you're going to compete, a lot of people want to compete for the long term, and it's not going to happen if you ruin your health in your first show.
What do you think? What do you think about people looking at competitions and seeing people on stage, seeing the big lights, all the girls' hair is done, their makeup is done, everybody looks great, looks like they're having fun. Someone who's never competed and they see that and they just be like, oh, well, I want to compete now. And they want to compete just because it looks fun. What do you think about that?
Well, here's the thing.
What's your opinion?
Any coach, once you have a client or you've been a client, everyone will agree the one thing the coach tells you the day before the show, the day of the show is, hey, there's absolutely nothing else you can do. Go up there, smile, flirt, and have fun. So realize no matter what kind of mood that person is or how terrible their prep is, that image they have on stage does not reflect their prep. That they're up there smiling trying to win. They're in the lights. They looked all glammed up. They look great. They're oiled up. They're tan. They're smiling, having fun. Because there's nothing else they can do at that point. So you have to look on stage and see all these people having a blast and realize that doesn't indicate how successful they were in their prep, or that doesn't indicate that the whole process was that much fun. It's over-exaggerated on stage because you have to. You can't have a bad prep and go on stage and be like, oh, this sucks. Like, here's my side pose, but I'm in a bad mood. I hope I win. So it's a different image on stage than it is the entire prep. You have to be happy. Of course they look great on stage. If I went to a show, I would think these people are living the dream right now because they're on stage. But a lot of those people get off stage, and the next week they're back at their 9-to-5 job with their kids, with their daily life struggles. So just because someone looks great on stage or they have that one profile picture of their one image on stage, that does not mean that the whole process is extremely fun or that they had a blast the entire time. So people got to realize that don't take snapshot results of something that happened and correlate it to the entire process.
Realize that people need to realize that these competitions aren't beauty pageants.
Yeah.
They're beauty pageants that require muscle. They're not spring break bikini competitions. They're bodybuilding competitions. And these people who get on stage and crush it, they have been lifting weights for a long time. They've been putting in a lot of work. I'll use myself for example. I won my first competition, both my classes, but I'm 32 years old. My first competition was last February, and I've been lifting since I was 19. Given I didn't know what I was doing with nutrition and training, so I didn't make gains like I could have made from 19 to 31, but you get the point. So that will roll right into, let's go to Matt. Matt?
What's up?
What's up?
All right.
We're gonna talk about some whack coaching practices.
Well,
You're the one with the topics. What are some things that you've been seeing on? Well, we all used to do things differently. We all come from the other world, not looking at science, just listening to what the biggest shredded, most shredded guy in the gym says. So, what do you know now that makes you look at some things and say, well, it's not too cool. It's not good for your client.
yeah, like Freddie said, a lot of people don't give themselves enough time to diet down. So I think a coach should, step in from the beginning of the process and say, hey, look, your competition's 10 weeks, and I believe you're 20 weeks out, so you should probably do a later competition. But these coaches, they'll want to, they'll just want the paycheck, so they'll take them on and they'll diet them down with tons of cardio and low calories. Make the process just a horrible time for the individual just to get up there and, for a plastic trophy, it's not worth it. So I think these coaches really should, I guess I'm talking more towards a first-time competitor. I've never competed, but I wouldn't have known much if I hired on a coach like last year before meeting you guys about really much what goes into competitions. And I almost did a competition. And I could have went to a coach and been like, hey, I want to drop 15, 20 pounds. I'm 8 weeks out. Coach would have probably said, you know what, I'm going to take you on. You pay $500 for the time being or whatever, and I'm going to diet you down. He probably would have had my calories very low and had my cardio really high just to get me down to the stage weight that I need to be. But healthy-wise, I would have probably been a mess. So I think coaches really should think about the overall health of their clients before taking them on. I know getting stage ready itself is not healthy alone. You know what I'm saying? It's not healthy. So, but they should give their clients more of an insight to maybe say, you should back off and do a later competition instead of dieting them down so hard.
I would agree with that. Anyone else have anything to add to that?
I think
Ready?
that it's really important that everyone understands that this industry is full of snakes, full of just coaches that are out to get your money and that lack serious integrity. So, as a client, you have a responsibility to yourself and to your body to go out there and do research, find out, why your coach is prescribing a certain activity for you or asking you to do a certain thing. You need to go online, you need to read the studies, read the science, and find out if that's going to work for you and for your body. You can't expect to go into this blind and have somebody lead you through the process and just let them take over control of your body and do what they think is best, because it might not be what's best. So just as a client, just be very aware of what you're being asked to do and make sure that you are willing to learn the reasons why you're being asked to do them. It's just really important.
Yep.
Thomas.
I think pretty much everyone just covered it. Majority of the time, it just comes down to giving yourself enough prep time, not just following a coach blindly, because that tends to be the case for the majority of people nowadays. They'll want to compete, and they'll see a coach post progress photos of their IFBB Pro clients and tag IFBB Pro and we're champions and we won and all that stuff. And what they don't realize, they might have had one client that made it that far, but how many other clients signed up? How many other hundreds of clients did they sign up that fell by the wayside because, for one, they took on too many clients. For two, a lot of times these are cookie cutter plans are handing out just to make a profit, and they're not invested in the client themselves to ensure that they, do their best. So that's a big aspect to just make sure you question everything when you come. You're hiring them. You're not paying them money, and then they're the end all be all. You're hiring them, so you should question them if they tell you to do something. Don't question it necessarily in a negative manner, but find out why it's being done, as opposed to do it because I said so or this is the way it's always been done. Find out reasonings behind stuff. Always question things. Always fill them out, because at the end of the day, you're hiring their services. That's what you're paying them for. So.
Yeah, for me, to piggyback off what Thomas said, you're paying a coach for their service. So if you ask a coach a question and the coach tells you, don't question me, and the coach tells you that you don't need to ask them questions, what is a coach? A coach is a version of a teacher. You should be able to learn from your coach. You should be able to learn how to coach someone else from your coach, not just learn how to follow a restricted diet plan and do as they say. This is your coach, not your drill instructor. Though your coach sometimes needs to get like a drill instructor with you, but your coach should be a teacher, not a tyrant. That's my say on that. Fred, you got anything to say about that?
Yeah, I feel like it should be common practice when someone's telling you what to do with your body to want to have an answer for it. I mean, I understand that you might feel intimidated because you're not the professional, but if someone says, I want you to do this, I mean, from personal experience, I want to know why. I'm like, genuinely, because I'm genuinely interested. Why do you think that way works? And when you ask, you're not saying no. You're not calling the coach out on something. You're not calling him stupid. You're not telling him he doesn't know what he's doing. You should just want to know, why do I have to eat this amount of calories? What's the reason behind it? You don't want to leave a show. After a show, you don't want to be ignorant. Your goal, whenever you have a coach, is to get to the point, and this is my goal for my clients. You want your client to get to the point where they don't need a coach anymore. And it's always good to have one, because I have, like, Laz is my coach. Could I possibly do this on my own? Yes. Do I want to? No. I want someone watching over me. I want an accountability. But you still want to get to the point where you can prep yourself, so that when you hire a new coach and he says, hey, I want you to do this, you can show him your last prep. Well, I did this last prep. Here's the reason I did behind it. Here's how my body reacts in this certain way. And your coach can go, that's interesting. I can use that, and we can work together as a team to get this done, because there is no absolutes in prepping. There's variables, and I could have a client for 12 weeks, and variables could still come up in the 10th and 11th week that I've never seen before. So if you know how your body reacts, and you know because you learned from your last coach, your prep will be more successful, because you're asking your coach and you're bouncing ideas off of him, and you guys are working together to get out the best product. And I feel like it should just be understood that if someone's telling you what to do with your body, you should want to know why.
Roxy?
For me, and learning the whole process on this whole thing, everybody's covered it, but there's never a stupid question, and don't ever feel like you should hesitate, because again, it is your body. This is your health. Your overall is more important than how fast you're going to get into that competition, or how fast can you look like that person in the picture. Your health comes first, and to know what you're doing and what you're putting in and what's coming out of it, and the process all in itself. Why do you want me to eat 6 cups of asparagus a day? I want to know why. If you want me to eat that much of something that's disgusting for months, I want to know why. What is it doing for me, and what in the long run, and how am I going to benefit? Not just how am I going to look. Think of the inside and what you're putting in. Your vitamins, your nutrients. Am I getting enough fats? For me, ladies, that is so important for your hormones. There's just so many things behind it other than just looking great.
Roxy, did I make you do that when we were on clean eating?
Oh, yes. I had asparagus.
What did I tell you? What did I tell you? Man, I was bad.
So supposedly, asparagus helps water retention.
Diuretic. Yeah, that's what I told you.
It's a diuretic.
I told you it helps you pee, so it helps you get rid of water.
Oh.
Yes.
That's so legit.
I put it in my egg whites. I put it in everything. It was so disgusting. I would go to the store every other day and clean out the asparagus section. Like, the guy started to know I was going to be coming back to get more asparagus in 2 days.
Oh my God.
It's sad.
I remember during peak week, when I was during peak week, asparagus was the most expensive thing during peak week.
Yes.
I spent like $150 on asparagus during peak week.
Asparagus and fish.
It was
I bought
$5 a
fish
pound.
in a box
That magic
at the
tilapia.
grocery store.
I was like, hey, coach, is there something I can eat besides asparagus?
Well, that actually brings up that brings up a pretty good point, because a lot of the times, you know, when you get these plans and stuff, people will prescribe these foods. All foods have macronutrients, which a lot of people don't realize, and they will, give you these foods, with the idea or mindset that they're magic. You know, eat this asparagus because it does this. Eat this tilapia because it thins your skin. Blah blah blah. And they don't realize you can get your protein sources if macronutrients content matches up for your goals and your needs. Why can't you have chicken instead of tilapia? Why can't you have a different vegetable source instead of asparagus? But a lot of times, like Laz said, when he was first got into this and doing it the clean or bro way, that was his reasoning behind it. Diuretic, as opposed to the nutrients it could be giving you or actually what your body needs. So that's the point of questioning things, because granted, she did question him, and granted that was his answer, but what kind of basis or foundation did that answer come from? He probably got it from just being in the industry, and this is how it's always been done, and passed down, as opposed to
That's how I did it.
actual backing. So that's the importance of looking into this kind of stuff.
For the record, I love chicken.
I do too.
Me too.
But I never, ever buy chicken breast anymore. And I will never eat tilapia again in my life.
I do not eat fish. No. Tilapia or
I eat
cod.
fish. I won't eat tilapia.
I eat chicken twice a day, every day. I got that cafeteria food.
With
I
some
think
greens.
that, the bodybuilding industry is responsible for putting tilapia fishermen's kids through college. I don't know anybody that would eat that just in a normal day-to-day. It's not like you get home from work and your wife's like, hey, honey, I made you some tilapia, and he gets all excited about it. It's horrible.
If it's a personal preference, more power to you. But I'm gonna
preference on that guy. Snapped up.
Usually not a personal preference.
Now it's time for some a little bit of science. It's kind of a touchy subject. Fasted cardio. Everybody in here has done that, huh?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
I haven't.
I know you did, Roxy. I had you on all kinds of fasted cardio back in the day.
I did cardio 3 times a day sometimes.
Woo!
Just to get it all in.
Why you gotta tell people that, Roxy?
That bad.
Why you gotta tell people that?
That's the old way.
Hey, who's your coach?
Me?
Laz?
I was like, well, I'm doing cardio 3 times a day, so she gonna do it too.
Oh.
I'm just playing. That was a joke. That was a joke. But don't look at me like that. I feel like you're right here in front of me, sitting with me for a second. So, fasted cardio. Almost everybody in the bodybuilding industry, before I found my new coach, or my new coach found me on Instagram and talked smack on one of my photos about meal prep, and I got pissed off and deleted his comment and went to his page, and I'm serious. I got mad, deleted his comment. I was like, who is this fool talking to me on my Instagram? I'm 1 month out from USA's. Does he see me? I'm shredded. That was my thought process. But I'm glad he found me. Appreciate you, Coach. Shout out Team ATP. Anyway, so fasted cardio. Almost everybody that I've ever met as a bodybuilder, did fasted cardio, or a lot of people still do it. And it makes sense whenever I was told to do fasted cardio and I asked why I had to do it. I was told that I needed to do cardio before I ate because it aggravates the fat. And when I found out why people do fasted cardio, that answer was true. But what good is aggravating the fat? What's the good of making the fat mad and aggravating it if it doesn't get burned? It doesn't make any sense. So here's the science behind fasted cardio. When you do fasted cardio, lipolysis increases. Because when you eat food, lipolysis, which is the mobilization of fatty acids out of the fat cell so they can be transported to other tissues like muscle, heart, liver, and burned, which is called oxidation. But fasted cardio does not increase fat burning. It only increases lipolysis. So the fatty acids, they get into the bloodstream, they get mobilized, but you can only burn so much fat while you're doing that cardio. You have a threshold. So the fatty acids that get mobilized, that do not get burned, they get restored as fat back in adipose tissue. So it doesn't make any, that's one reason that it doesn't make any sense. Fred, what's another reason?
The other reason is the reason why when I was thinking about doing fasted cardio, it didn't make sense to me. And when I go to the gym, I'm trying to kick ass. I'm trying to kill it in the gym. I can't kill it if I don't eat. So my thought process is, where am I getting the energy to get a great workout in if I'm not eating? And it just doesn't make sense to me. So the reason why fed cardio or fed training in general is better is because you're fueling yourself for that workout, which means you're going to use more energy. You're going to burn more calories during your workout. Because weight loss is calories in versus calories out. It's not calories in versus fat calories out. That's the point. You want to lose weight, so you eat enough protein and maintain a certain intensity to retain as much LBM as you can, and then you expend more calories than you're ingesting. So how do I burn more calories in the gym? I eat something before I work out so I have energy. What people are not paying attention to is net value. They look at a snapshot result of what happened with the body immediately during your workout. You have this fat that's getting mobilized, and then that's it. You go, great, see, it's getting mobilized, I'm good, I'm done. Well, what happens later in the day? Well, the body has a thing called homeostasis, and you got to realize whatever your body's doing in the beginning of the day, or what it's losing, or what it's neglecting, it has a way of making up for it later in the day. So what I preach to my clients is when they say something, they say, I weighed this weight today, and then the next day they're like, holy crap, I gained 0.3 pounds. Net value. Look at the bigger picture. That's why everything should be a lot of things should be based on averages. So you need to realize that eat more before you work out, or eat food before you work out. You have a better workout. So at the end of the day, you're burning more calories than you would be if you just had a half a workout doing fasted cardio. Because a lot of people will tell you, I felt great during my fasted workout. And I'm like, I can guarantee you that if you had some sort of like sustenance, some sort of food before you worked out, you would have had a better workout. Because you're not going to say, you know what you're doing when you go back home after fasted cardio, but that you're not telling anybody. You're hating it. A lot of people tell me, like, I used to tell people it's great, and I heard this person from people, I hated every second of it. But they go online and say, heck yeah, I did fast. Last showed a video, just doing my fasted cardio right now, and and they have this fake-ass smile on their face. You know they don't want to be doing that. And if they don't want to be doing that, you know they're not working as hard as they could be if they were to eat something.
And like Fred said, if you're doing something early in the morning, we're not telling you go and eat, like what I would eat for breakfast before I go. If breakfast is my pre-workout meal and I'm about to go lift in an hour and a half or 2 hours, just eat something because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because your fat burning is not increased. And like Fred was talking about, you will burn more fat if you have fuel. You're fueling your body for your workout. You wouldn't go lift weights fasted. That doesn't make any sense. You wouldn't be able to push the weight like you need to. There's something called EPOC. EPOC is exercise post-oxygen consumption. When you eat food and you have a better workout like Fred was saying, a better cardio session, you're going to, because of EPOC, you will burn more calories throughout the day. And if you definitely don't want to be going to do HIIT cardio fasted in the morning. Third reason is we all know this is what we want. This is what we want when we are getting, especially bodybuilders, because fasted cardio is perpetuated mostly by bodybuilders. This is what we want. We want gains. We go through bulking season so that we can build muscle. When we go into competition prep, we want to keep all of that muscle. We're going to lose a little bit anyway, but what is the very first thing in a fat loss phase that your very first priority should be muscle preservation, and the second one is fat loss. When you go do fasted cardio, research has shown that nitrogen losses double during fasted cardio. Does that sound like it's good for your gains? It's not good for muscle retention at all. You have to keep a healthy nitrogen balance, a positive nitrogen balance for muscle retention. So if nitrogen losses are doubling, how is that doing you any benefit? You might be losing weight much faster doing fasted cardio, but it's not fat, and that's not good. Especially, muscle in a bodybuilding competition. That 1 pound of muscle could help you win, or make you lose. Fred, anybody else got any questions or comments about fasted cardio?
The thing that bugs me is I understand that if you don't know anything about it and you have a coach telling you this is why, that you do it. But what bothers me is that I feel like it makes so much sense to eat before your workout. And if someone were to say, go work out without eating because it's going to help you burn more fat, like if you say that out loud, I'm going to not eat and work out so I burn more, so I use more energy. That doesn't make sense. And a lot of times, the reason why fasted cardio is not eliminated is because people don't want to be wrong. They don't want they have all these pro athletes, they say, we did fasted cardio, and they brag about it. Now they don't want to have to go back and build up a new reputation saying, oh, I was wrong when I did this, because they've already backed themselves into a wall by saying, oh, it does work because look at all my athletes, or it does work because look at my body. And fasted cardio is not leaving the industry because no one wants to be wrong. They're scared to be wrong. They're scared to admit, hey, you know what, I was promoting this as the way I do it, and that's not the reason that they're losing fat. And they don't want to admit to it. And I mean, you can't save everybody, but I just think that's the reason why I don't know if fasted cardio is ever going to leave the industry, because there's people that just don't want to be wrong, and that's purely it.
A lot of it tends to be a fad and bandwagon thing. If you see a post on Instagram and someone's wearing a squeam, or someone's doing their fasted cardio, or someone's running around with their six-pack back, and again, it's a preference issue, more power to you if that's your stuff, but at the same time, people see that stuff, and it's the hardcore thing to do, so I'm doing it because they did it type of situation instead of knowing the reason.
You nailed it, bro. That hardcore, it's like a badge of honor that people don't want to be wrong, and they don't want that hardcore aspect of it to be taken away. Like that sacrifice, like Alan says, that sacrifice to win, man. A bunch of athletes feel like they have to promote self-sacrifice. Yeah, I went so hard during prep, I almost died during my prep, so I should win this competition, and look how shredded I am, and that's all you can talk about is how much fasted cardio you did and how many times you did cardio a day. Doing round 1, round 2, round 3, round 4. Like, what are you doing? When I was in the gym 3 times a day, I didn't like it. Especially leading up to my last competition, I was doing an hour and a half fasted cardio in the morning. And I was doing an hour and a half at night. Not fasted, obviously. But I was doing.
What were you doing? You were posting about, how you're going in there and you're getting it done, make it seem like, I guess you're enjoying it or showing that you got to go through these struggles to, get the best results.
Competition prep is intense. Competition prep is competition prep, but there's no need to be adding any excess stress, unnecessary stress to what you were already busting your butt, planning your days out, having to spend more time in the gym, especially when some people have to spend a lot more time in the gym than others, but you generally should not have to be going to the gym 3 times a day because you have to do cardio in the morning, lift weights in the afternoon, and then do cardio again at night.
Well, at the same time, competing is hard, and and to say it's not, is a false assumption. But along with that, you can always work smarter, not harder. And at the end of the day, everyone has lives, everyone has families, and if you're taking all this and you're taking away from your relationships, taking away from time with your family just to win a $5 plastic trophy, it's not worth it. There's no point in being antisocial to achieve a hobby. And at the end of the day, for 99% of the people, it's a hobby. So, and even if it's not a hobby and you make your living professionally doing this, there's still no point in sacrificing family, relationships, and all that stuff, when you can do things smarter and not harder.
Amen.
Yep. I think it should be, if you're in the gym 3 times a day, either you're wrong or your coach is wrong. You have to. It's that simple. If you are doing cardio twice a day, that a light bulb should go up in your head and be like, something's wrong, because I shouldn't have to work this hard to lose this little bit of fat. So somebody's wrong. My coach messed up earlier in prep, and he's making up for it. Actually, I said earlier that clients make mistakes, but it's up to your coach. If your coach has you doing cardio twice a day, every day, your coach made a mistake, and he's trying to save his ass by making up for it. And that's how it is. If he has to do all that and put you through that much, he made a mistake, and he's trying to save his ass so he doesn't look bad by putting something bad on stage.
Well, and it goes back to the beginning topic we had when we first started, is giving plenty of prep time.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, and if the client is not ready, the client is not ready.
Yep.
And that's where the coach needs to admit it and be like, hey, we're not ready, or the client needs to admit it. I mean, granted, if you're striving for a show 12 weeks out, it's getting close to time. Sometimes you got to make the call and, pull people or find a new show or something, as opposed to, doing all this extra stuff that's pointless 2-3 times a day in the gym just to get someone on stage when, clearly, they're not ready at that point. So it's always good to at least be the bigger person and be like, hey, I made a mistake. Hey, let's pull back. Let's do another show. Let's do something, and have you come in the best you can, as opposed to driving you to the ground with hours of cardio twice a day for no need,
And at the end of the day, what's going to be worse for you? Missing that one show and pushing it to a later date, doing a different show, or spending 3-4 solid weeks starving in a gym, doing 3 sessions a day, miserable, hating your life, no energy to work, no energy to play with your kids. I mean, what's worse? You got to choose your battles when it comes down to that.
here's
You
a
had
here's a short, what's that?
to quit your job last year, didn't you?
Well, here's what with that. What happened with that was, for everyone who doesn't know, I used to be a server at a restaurant named Del Frisco Steakhouse. It's a 15,000 square foot restaurant. 80% of the dining room is upstairs. The kitchen is downstairs, and I literally had to do hit cardio. If it was busy, I was literally doing hit cardio all night long at work, especially during the holidays in December, November, December, when I was getting ready for my first competition. You know, I was at work 8 hours a night, literally running up and down stairs. And I remember asking my coach at the time, and this is simply this is my experience. This is saying I asked my coach a question. That coach knows a lot more than he knew then too. So this is just personal experience. I asked my coach, hey, coach, I work here. Showed him a picture of the place. I work at this place. I'm literally running up and down these stairs all night. Should I be eating more food or doing less cardio? My answer was no. Now I know that I should have been eating more food, because on top of my cardio that I was doing in the morning, fasted, and on top of my 30 minutes of cardio or whatever I had on the Stairmaster after my lifting session in the afternoon, I went to work and literally running up and down stairs all night. But when I got into my third competition prep, I got really bad. It got bad, where to a point where before I quit my job, where I was doing 2 hours of cardio a day, I was doing 1 hour fasted in the morning. I was doing 1 hour at night, and I had to do, I believe I was doing 20 minutes of hit cardio after my lifting session. So I was cranky. I was really hungry. And when I went to work, I didn't really talk to my coworkers. And that place, teamwork was not, hey, Laz, can you do something for me? That's not, and you say, yeah, I'll do it. That's not teamwork to them. Teamwork is, hey, Fred, I'm going downstairs to the kitchen. Do you need me to do anything for you? And if you weren't doing that, you weren't playing team. And I wasn't doing that because I wasn't talking to any of my coworkers, because I just wanted to save all of my energy so I could talk to the people at my tables. I had to be able to talk to those people at my tables. I had to be able to sell them lobster tails and compound butters to go on top of their $65 steaks. These people come to dinner and spend $200 on $200, $300, $400 on a guy bring his woman in there and spend a lot of money on dinner. So I wanted to save my energy to be able to talk to my guest. I almost got fired from my job because I had multiple complaints on me to the managers that I wasn't approachable, or I looked mad, or I just looked like I wanted to beat everybody up, and people were scared to talk to me because I was quiet and I was run down from competition prep. That should not be the case. Your health and your life is more important than getting on stage. It might not be time for you to get on stage. One thing that I wanted to cover about first competition no-nos, this is a hobby. You might want to be a pro, but it's a hobby. If you cannot afford a coach, if you cannot afford to buy the food, if you cannot afford gym membership, if all that stuff is hard to pay for, well, competition is not cheap. It's $80 to register. Minimum is going to be $80. $80 to register for the competition. If you want to do more than one class, like novice bodybuilding and open bodybuilding, you got to register for both. So that's $160. Then you got to get a tan. You want to get a pedicure. for those who don't get a pedicure all that often, your feet can't look like Bigfoot. And then ladies, it's way worse for ladies. A guy, all you got to do is get a haircut, get a tan, be shredded, and have your posing on point. Women have to get their hair done, their makeup done. They have to get a tan. They got to get a manicure, a pedicure. They got to get a competition suit.
Oh.
And that competition suit costs a lot. Costs a grip. So if you are not stable financially, and you don't have extra money, or you don't have a way, like I was a server, so when I decided to compete, I had no idea what the cost of competing was. But if I found out something cost more money, I could just go to work. I could just say, hey, want me to work for you tonight? I need to make $300 real quick. So I would go to work for somebody else if I needed to, and I could do something like that. If you don't have a way to make more money and you're set on you're already living paycheck to paycheck, you don't need to be thinking about getting in competition right now because you're going to put yourself in a big old hole. Yep. That's pretty much it. So, anybody else got anything? I think we're done with our first hangout.
Yeah.
Killed it, Laz.
No food. I did a fasted
Next
hangout.
hangout.
I did a fasted hangout.
Did you? Wow. I was eating on the hangout. Sushi.
Me too.
So when's our next hangout gonna be, guys?
Couple weeks, 2 weeks.
We got to find out what people want to hear from us.
We do.
Yeah, we need to figure out good topics before.
Guys, whatever y'all want to hear, you can leave them in the comments. Please leave comments. Give us your feedback. Let us know how we did and what you'd like to hear in the future.
Something we also need. Oh, go ahead, Kate.
No trolls. No trolling.
I was going to say something we also need to do is any of the info we have as far as pertaining to this fast Cody or anything, let's go ahead and make sure we post that in the link below with this YouTube. That way it's not just us saying stuff, but they can look at some research and actual positive feedback on stuff. So.
I'll put the links to in the description. I'll put all of the links to very credible fasting cardio information so you can read for yourself. There is one link that has Look Great Naked, Brad Schoenfield. The study that is referenced, it'll take you to an abstract, but if you want the full text, you're going to have to log in and you have to purchase it. But Brad Schoenfield, he breaks it down very well on his site, out in Aragon, and there is one study, PubMed study, that you can read over as well. So leave your comments. Let us know what you want to hear next time or in the future. Nutrition, we're going to be going over nutrition things, training, whatever subject. And this is not just bodybuilding, it's general fitness. So whatever you want to hear, if you have any questions, let us know what you want hangouts to be about, whether it's counting macros, what kind of cardio is, what cardio questions, anything like that. So thanks for watching, guys.
Bye, guys.
Y'all some good-looking people, man. I'm so happy to have some good-looking people on the team, man. This is what I'm talking about.
Likewise.
It's because I just got my hair cut. I don't have that crazy comb over anymore.
I'm kind of rocking it.
Matt's got a little bit of one going on.
I try.
What happened to Thomas? It's just been a picture of him, like.
I know. I was having some technical difficulties over here.
You're laying in bed right now.
Technical difficulty.
Looking out a
3,
window looking like a
2,
giant.
1. Peace out. Major games.
Later.